Okay, welcome back to Friday's Tipping Postcast. I'm joined by Graham Rodway, David Jennings and Frank Hickey. We're going to quickly touch on the current Sunday of Irish Champions Weekend now. We've got a race which I've just been talking non-stop about in the office for the past hour or so. The 340 Moyglare Stud Stakes, Alpha Centauri, Clemmy, Magical, Happily, September. And then we've got another horse coming in there off the back of a really nice main run, Murin, who I like. Frank, how do we bet on these? It's Aidan O'Brien Monopoly, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just after being rejigged there with the jockey bookings confirmed. So Magical still favoured at 5-2, Clemmy 3-1, Alpha Centauri 7-2, Happily 6-1, September 7-1, Moorin 12-1, and we're 25-1 bar.
Oh, see, I like Happily. We'll see if anyone agrees with me. Graham, do you want to kick us off for a change?
Yeah, it's a cracking race, isn't it? The only
brilliant.
problem is that they're all trained by Aidan O'Brien, or most of them are, so it's a bit of a guess-up. And then we've got the jockey bookings through, and we've got Ryan Moore on Clemmy, which is even more of a surprise, because I expected him to be on Magical, but... I mean, it's just a race to watch for me. I can't have a strong opinion on it, especially now that Ryan Moore's thrown a spanner into the works and jumped on the Clemmy. That's the one that's related to Churchill, isn't it? And
yes,
it's sort of a similar type. You know, it just doesn't seem to do anything amazing, but keeps winning.
A lot of people think she's a sharper, more of a sprintier type, if you like. David, what do you make of this race?
First of all, I think that Clemmy won't run and Ryan will ride Magical.
Okay.
Listen, that's. I just think with the way the ground has gone, Clemmy obviously needs quicker ground, and I think Magical coped really well with the ground the last day. And I don't know why the jockey bookings are done like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Like, I don't know. I'm usually wrong, but yeah, this is. I told absolutely everybody I could this week that I think there is one bet and one bet only for the Irish Champions Weekend, and that was Alpha Centauri. She was 5-1. Couldn't understand it. Couldn't make head nor tail of it. She's got her ground. She's got her trip. She worked brilliantly apparently last week. I think she's a really, really good filly. She's a giant, and I think the break would have done her good. You know, she started the season. She had 3 quick enough runs.
She's huge, isn't she? She's absolutely massive filly.
Oh, she's absolutely huge. Yeah, she really is a giant. Like, and I think like the form of that Albany Stakes being let down by different league.
I was going to say she didn't run great in France, did she?
No, she didn't. No, but then you look in behind. Like Madeleine was only 5th. She's a decent filly. Actress was 6th. She's won since. Clemmy was 7th. Like I don't think it was a desperate race. Natural as well, ran well since. I don't think it was a desperate race, and I still think she will turn out to be by far the best filly in it. And they were petrified about the ground going in that day. Like, this is all her Christmas is coming at once. Soft ground, 7 furlongs to Curragh. Like, I think she ticks so many boxes. I couldn't believe she was 5-1.
Okay, so gone from Graham's no opinion to your very strong opinion. Frank, who are you with? Very strong opinion or not really much?
Not Dave Jennings strong, but middle of the road. Look, Magical's been pushed because Donica's on it and not Ryan. But the first day she ran the Curragh, she did a lot wrong and she stayed on massively in a massive eye-catching fashion. Like, and I was like, Jesus, that looks like. I think we quoted her for the Oaks and the Guineas after it, and she went to Cork then and stepped up from 6 to a mile, and you know she only barely clung on. You were like, oh, that's a bit underwhelming. Maybe she's not half as good as we thought. But what we've learned is that Mary Tudor, that she barely beat at Cork, was 3rd the last day in the Curragh, so she's a bloody decent filly as well. And Magical, I don't think it was much of a... some people suggest it was a bit of a fluke the last day. I don't think it was. I think she's just really, really good. And the fact that Donica has rolled the last twice, it wouldn't put me off that Ryan is not, even though he might switch it, as David alluded to earlier. I think, for me, she'll be clear fat for the Guineas. I think she's brilliant.
Okay.
Really like her.
She's brilliant. Love that quote. Moving on to the national stakes now at 4:15. Aidan O'Brien's won the last 3 of these with Air Force Blue Glen Eagles and obviously Churchill last year. Is it a penalty kick for Gustav Klimt, Graham?
Yeah, I think it is. The form of the Newmarket win has not really worked out that well. Nebo was a little bit disappointing next time. However, we all know what happened at Newmarket. I mean, could not have found any more trouble in running, and it was amazing that he won the race. I mean,
a lot of people have made a big thing of this and said, well, he didn't have the pace, and that's why he was shuffled back and all the rest of it. Do you just think... No.
No, I don't think that was the case. I just think he was very, very badly hampered and did brilliantly well to win. And by all accounts, he's done everything right at home since. He's clearly among, if not the number one juvenile at Aidan O'Brien's yard at the moment. and I expect he'll justify odds on favouritism.
Okay, well, as I say, you look back through the previous winners of this, he usually sends his best 2-year-olds here, so maybe that's a tip in itself. David, are you going to prove me wrong with that statement?
Yeah, Maddie, I've talked a lot of rubbish so far in the last half an hour, so I'm going to keep this very simple. I think Gustav Klimt will win.
Okay, Frank?
Look, he's the most likely winner, definitely. But I don't like him as a horse, to be honest. I really don't. Like, as in, if he wins the Guineas, I'm giving up the game. I don't like him at all. They made a lot of excuses. He won't win the Guineas, I'll tell you that. He'll probably win tomorrow, but if you're looking for a bet, verbal dexterity looks a big price each way, considering I think 6 furlongs on good ground wasn't what he was looking for the last time. At the car as well, when Beckford beat him a length. I think the step up to 7, if you go back to his debut, he ran over 7 on soft ground on debut and he absolutely walloped him. He won by 9.5 lengths. I think he's better than he showed the last day. The step back up to 7 and the bit of rain, I'd say it'll be at least soft ground, if not worse, at the car on Sunday. He looks a cracking bet without. I'd fancy him to beat Beckford, and I'd love it if he beat Gustav Klimt.
Just because you've taken a particular dislike.
I take a dislike to him. It's like, these people going, oh, he's so unlucky, what a horse to do that. He's fucking bang average, if you ask me.
Was he texting your missus or something?
Come here. I'd probably like him more if he did.
Right.
Poor Jill.
We'll move on now quickly and cover the Irish St Ledger, which is 450. There's not the big match race with Big Orange. He's out, so we've just got Order of St George, Dartmouth, Wicklow Brave, who of course won this last year. Western Hymn's quite an interesting runner, and Jessica Harring's Torsidor. Frank, take it away with the betting.
Order of St George is 4-11, Torsidor 15-2, Dartmouth 8-1, Wicklow Brave 20s, Mount Moriah 25, along with your Lord Yates and Western Hymn, and we're 33-1 bar.
I'm interested to see you've got Torsidor so short. What do you reckon? Do you think he should be, or do you think Order of St George is just going to win?
Well, look, at his best he wins, but he has a habit of getting beaten every so often.
He's a quirky old bugger, isn't he?
He's the kind of one where, I wouldn't put anyone off having each way bet, but I couldn't back him at that price myself. It's probably just one I'll watch. I suppose, even go back to last year, I haven't priced this race myself, but is Wicklow Brave a little bit of a big price? At
just
20s each way?
20s, yeah.
Yeah, 20-1. He did win this race last year, and well, look, who knows how he managed to do it, but he's probably a decent enough chance of running into the frame at 20-1. But it's not probably a race I'd have a bet on, to be honest with you. Okay,
so perhaps just watch David.
I think it's really straightforward. I think Order of St George will win, and I think Torsidor will be second. He is he can be a little bit of an enigma, and you just don't know sometimes if he's going to go by, and he does think about it a little bit, but he's ability-wise, he has more than the rest of them put together. And I think the key thing with Torsidor is the ground. Best performance came earlier on in the year at Leopardstown in the 1 mile 6 race, where it absolutely hammered Twilight Payment and Forgotten Rules. That was on soft ground. I think that good to firm ground at the Curragh probably just wasn't his cup of tea. He's a proper stayer, and I think he'll definitely be second. I think this is really straightforward. I think Order St George will beat Torsidor.
Okay, Graham?
Yeah, talking about horses that I don't like, Order of St George would be right up there.
We're just going to horse hate for the rest of the podcast.
I have to write the column Bankers or Blowouts, and he always appears in it every time he runs because he turns up in these races, and every time that I banker him, he finds a way to get beat. And, when I lay him, like last time out, he wins easily. I don't get the horse.
Apparently, has he had a better prep for it this year, do you reckon? I know last year the vibes weren't that strong, were they?
No, he was turned over at 1-7 last year. And I think that's why he's 2-5. If he turns up at his best form, he should win by a long, long way. But he never does win by a long, long way. Ryan Moore reckons he's quite a hard ride, often hangs in behind when you try and put him upside something. Do you want to be on that sort of horse at 2-7 or whatever he's probably going to go off? Not for me. I'm more than happy to take him on, but I'm a layer. I'll have to lay him because the rest of them, they ain't good enough to beat him, and I can't pick one to seriously believe that they can beat him, but you never know, something might pop up.
Okay, so
just one thing to note with Order of St George is they've been extremely harsh on him here, but one thing is, if you go through his form with soft in the description, beat Blue Skimmer by 8.5 lengths, beat Sea Moon by 7.5 lengths, beat Mizu by 3 lengths in the Gold Cup at Ascot, do you know, like, the ground is a key factor. If you go back through the times he has now, I know he was. I don't think he was right last year when he was beaten by Wicklow Brave. I know it was yielding ground that day, but I think when there is soft in the description, he's almost unbeatable.
Okay, thanks very much for that, David. We've got the other two Group 2s on the card, and then we have racing everywhere. We've got Listowel, York, Fontwell, and then obviously we have the Arc Trials at Shanty. Has anyone got anything they just want to nip in there and mention? Frank, I'm sure you've got something.
Oh, yeah, I was just a bit annoyed there. The Blandford Stakes, Seventh Heaven was fab this morning, and I was like, oh, yes, this is great, because she had no chance on the ground. And I was going to back Sea of Grace each way, but I can see that we've rejigged it there now, and Rain Goddess is fab, because Ryan's up on that, and Sea Grace is 3-1, and like, unless I was getting 4-1 and was able to play Sea Grace, I'd probably keep away from it. But there was one or two I liked in that sales race. Freescape, I think it's David Marnan trains it. He was a bit of an eye catcher in his second maiden run at the Curragh, staying on strongly. Now, he was well beaten behind Fleet Review, but he went to Dundalk and won well. I'd say a big field and a strong pace would suit him well. And I'm kind of hoping the Brogy man for the Dukes will run well in that race too. He ran really well over 7 at Leopardstown. He was collared late by a decent one of Jesse Harrington's, and the third has gone on and won again since. I think the two of them will be a decent price, and you could probably back me to it. And I think we're probably going to be at least one extra place in that, if not 2.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
David, fair play. You've not rabbited on. I think all of us have. It's not just you. What would you say if I asked you, what's your bet from elsewhere or in any of the other races?
Yeah, see, I brought you down to my level, Ollie, so I haven't. I really like Sea of Grace. I think the key thing, again, is the ground, and she has been crying out for a step up and trip for her whole career. Like last season, even as a 2-year-old, she's just crying out for a trip, and I think William Haggis has been really patient with her. And his horses are in form at the moment. I think she'll take the world of beating in that. And the Brogy man, has a big chance. Talking to young Jukey there, if that horse wins, like, it could be like the closing scene to Titanic with Brendan Duke. Like, it really, there will be tears flowing. Like, it's like it will be like Jukey Junior getting married. That's what it will be like, because, like, he is just the most emotional man in the world. Like, I'm a bit of a softie, but Brendan Duke is like, brings it to a whole new level. So I really hope for visually, for all of our sakes, that he does win and has got a crack a chance. For him to have a winner on Irish Champions Weekend, Lord God bless us and save us.
Right, I know what my massive wish for the weekend is now.
And you won't be disappointed, Maddie. I assure you, you will not be disappointed.
Come on.
This man is TV gold.
Well, I think I've seen him before. He's got a decent 2-year-old, hasn't he? Warm the voice, and he absolutely loves him.
He's a bunch of them. He's a bunch of decent 2-year-olds.
Yeah. So he's been in great.
And can
form.
I just mention? I just want to make sure it's running first. I just want to mention.
I'll get to Graham and then come back. Or
It's
no?
not running.
What's the horse
What was it,
anyway?
David?
We've got to hear this.
No, go to Graham first.
Okay, Graham.
Oh no.
Well, we should mention the 305, the Flying 5. We've got Caravaggio running, haven't we?
Oh, yes.
An old favourite. Now, disappointing in the July Cup. Well beaten in France last time.
Everyone
apparently.
thinks he wants further.
Yeah, and now he's down to 5 furlongs, having looked on a couple of occasions like he needs it, or every bit of 6, if not 7. Apparently he had sore feet last time in France, so if he gets really testing, I suppose he'll at least be all right on the ground. And the reports from Ballydoyle that they still rate him very, very highly, but 6-4 to win over 5 furlongs against horses like, really fast horses. Caspian Prince going to be blasting away up front. Not for me, but he's probably the lay of the weekend, I guess, Caravaggio. But he's bound to go and bolt up now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just bound to. Back to you, David, quick, before we've got to go.
Oh no, I'm devastated.
Are you showing a bit of the old Duke emotion there?
Yeah, I think one of the best handicaps horses in Ireland was supposed to run in the Northfields handicap, the 555 at the Curragh on Sunday. Elusive Heights, trained by Ger Lyons. I think it's a group horse. He hasn't fulfilled his potential, but I think he will. But he's not running, and that makes me think that Ger Lyons has got Moane in that, who will be favourite and adores conditions. And Ger is really good at kind of mapping these horses out for Premier Handicap. So he obviously thinks that Moane has a better chance of winning the race than Elusive Heights. So far be it from me to say that he's wrong. So yeah, Moane probably in the 555 to ease the pain of Elusive Heights not running.
Okay, finally, just a quick reminder, Shanty Arc Trials Day. We've got Satono Diamond, Cracksman running, all sorts going on. Any thoughts on that, Graham?
Not from a betting perspective. I mean, Cracksman is going to be about 1 to 2.
It's strange, isn't it? Go for this and not go for the Arc. No one goes to win the Niel and then not win the Arc. Surely.
Well, that's I suspect is going to be the plan. Surely, you know, you're going to run in the Niel, and then if he does the business, we're going to be heading to the Arc, and obviously the Arc is the big game for the Japanese horse. But I don't know what to expect from him. It's exciting to see Cracksman, but he just is not. It's not a betting race, you know. But he was so impressive at York, wasn't he? I mean, you know, the further he went that day, he just looked so good.
Yeah. Okay, David. I'm not going to hold my breath. Have you had a look at Shanti?
Maddie, I'm absolutely knackered. No.
We're all knackered. We've been in this for the long haul. Frank, can you give us anything?
Not really, no.
Okay, so on that bombshell, David's going to go to bed, and we're all going to go and collapse somewhere in a heap. Thank you very much for joining us. If you enjoy listening to the Postcast, please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Goodbye, and we'll see you on Monday.
Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus, available to use online, at ATMs, or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.